everyone, and welcome to the Bold and Beautiful podcast. I'm your host, Amanda, and I've titled this week's episode, The Jig Is Up. Before we get started, I just want to let you know that I'm feeling under the weather, so you'll just have to forgive my froggy voice. I drank some hot tea, I have some iced coffee, I also have my water. So you'll just have to bear with me, guys. First, I want to congratulate Jacqueline McInnes Wood on her Emmy win. Ken was right. Jacqueline won. And I am very, very happy for her. The Bold and the Beautiful also won for Outstanding Technical Team for a Drama Series. And that is all that the Bold and the Beautiful won Emmy night. Okay, let's move on to news and gossip. There was really not that much, but there is one thing that I saw that bothered me. Lindsay Godfrey posted a photo, an Emmy photo with the love of her life, and she really liked the photo, and she posted the photo. And a lot of people on social media in general, they were being really mean and really hateful, talking about how her stomach is all poked out and she looks pregnant. Very rude. She was very upset. So she took the photos down. Then she put the photo back up. She put one of the photos back up. Basically, she said, I'm comfortable in my own skin, so I'm putting the photo back up. She was saying that she doesn't understand why people would want to be mean to each other and write these mean comments and break other people down, especially people you don't even know, etc., etc. And, you know, this made me sad because I don't get that. Like, I just don't get it. I am not going to be mean to someone for no reason, especially someone I don't know. I don't know, it's just disappointing. People can be very hateful these days. And that is all the news I have for this week. So enough with the chit chat. Let's get to the recap. So that brings us into Monday, May the 6th. The show opens at Brooke's house with Thomas and Hope. Thomas kisses Hope and she immediately pushes him away. And she basically says, "You cannot do that. I'm married." But Thomas doesn't care. He tries to convince her that she should be with him and Liam should be with Steffi. The reason that this is really making me angry is because Thomas is using Hope's insecurities against her and her guilt for his own gain. And that's disgusting. Hope is stunned. She's very caught off guard. And Thomas claims that he talked to Caroline and told her he was still in love with Hope. So Caroline said if anything happens to her, she wants Hope in Douglas's life. What the F? I don't believe one word coming out of Thomas's mouth. No way did this even happen. Wow, he is just like his mother. I'm sorry, but this guy is beyond. He's gone way past any rational thoughts, and I'm speechless. And poor Hope is freaked out, and she's trying to be nice, but he's getting into her head. And that's what I'm worried about, because she's very vulnerable right now. He starts going on and on and on about how much Douglas needs her, and Thomas wants Hope to have a family with him, and Hope doesn't even know what to say. Now we head over to Wyatt's house with Wyatt and Sally. And Wyatt called Sally at work and told her she needed to come home. He wants to talk to her now. So she comes home and Wyatt says, "Look, I want the truth because I know you're keeping something from me." And of course, Sally admits that Thomas did tell her a secret, that he's in love with Hope. And Wyatt is stunned because he actually thought they were having an affair. He did not expect this explanation. And then he explains to Sally that that's what he thought they were having an affair because his mom saw, you guessed it, through a crack in the door, them two in the office together, all intimate. And Sally's like, no, it's not that. So now Wyatt is very upset. And he says, I can't believe that you kept this from me. Then he wants to know how and why she would do this. And he also wants to know how long she's known. Then, I'm telling you guys, Sally makes a huge mistake. Instead of saying, I'm so sorry, I should have told you immediately, I don't know what I was thinking, and tells him everything. I'm talking everything. But that's not what she does. She makes a huge mistake, and she defends Thomas, which was not a smart thing to do in this situation, because Wyatt is already really, really pissed. She actually takes up for Thomas, and she says she was thinking that maybe he was right, that he should be with Hope, and Liam should be with Steffi. This infuriates Wyatt, and he's like, I can't believe that you're even saying this. I can't. Like, you're scheming with him now, or what? And so Sally realizes that she really, really, really made a mistake, that she really effed up. She realizes it, and then she apologizes. She starts apologizing. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have kept a secret, and I don't want to lose you. I don't want to lose you. And I'm like, oh, Sally, what are you doing? Now we go back to Brooks with Thomas and Hope. And for the millionth time, Thomas tells her that he wasn't romantic with Caroline, etc., etc. We've already heard this, okay? 50 million times. So this guy is completely unbelievable. He's telling Hope that this is what Caroline would have wanted. He is nuts. I feel so bad for Hope right now because she doesn't even know what to say or how to even react. And then Thomas is making her cry because he's going on and on and on and on, making her feel more and more and more guilty about Liam not being with his girls, and he still loves Steffi, and he's going on and on and on. Then he says that he loves her, and he's always loved her. And Hope is like, look, you're not thinking clearly because you're grieving. And of course he denies that. Oh, no, it's not that. Of course not. And then he says that his feelings are real. And he reaches into his pocket and he pulls out an engagement ring. And it's the same ring that he proposed to Hope the first time in Cabo. It's the same ring he used then. And he's kept it this whole time. And Hope is completely shocked. Like, she's speechless. She doesn't even say anything. And that's how Monday ends. Wow. So that brings us into Tuesday. The show opens at Forrester Creations in the executive office with Brooke and Ridge. And they are kissing as usual. And these two are cute together. I like their chemistry. They seem really happy right now. And Ridge tells Brooke that he needs to tell her something about Hope and Thomas. And I'm like, finally. He tells her the truth, that Thomas wants to be with Hope. And Brooke says what everyone who watches the show is thinking. Has everyone forgot that Hope is married to Liam? Brooke, of course, thinks that this is ridiculous. And she's angry because Ridge doesn't seem completely against the idea. And I'm like, seriously? And Brooke is like, excuse me, you think it's okay for Thomas to sabotage Hope and Liam's marriage? And Ridge is like, of course not. And then he does tell her that he thinks they should stay out of it and let the kids figure it out. They shouldn't be like Stephanie was, all in the kid's business, trying to, I guess, fix things or whatever. And he tells Brooke it's best if they just stay out of it. Now we head over to Wyatt's house with Wyatt and Sally. And Wyatt is very upset. And he tells her if he never saw the text, would she have said anything? Was she ever planning to say anything? Or was she just going to keep it from him? Then Sally tells him that she didn't think it through. And she really wasn't thinking. And Wyatt is so mad at this point that he's basically yelling. And he says, how dare Thomas go after Hope while Liam is in Paris when he knows that she is very fragile. So at this point, Wyatt is furious. And honestly, I feel like he has the right to be. Granted, he is being a little hypocritical because he has some secrets of his own. But Sally is just not being smart about this. Like, she's being a little ridiculous. Why would she take up for Thomas? And why isn't she telling Wyatt the whole truth? Everything. About the video, the drawing, the whole thing. Because that's an important part of it. And she still hasn't told him anything about that yet. So then she tries to explain that she didn't think it was that big of a deal. And it just seems like everything she says makes Wyatt matter. And he's like, wow. Wow. You did not think Thomas trying to break up Hope and Liam was a big deal. So then he kind of goes on this rant. And basically, the thing that he's the most upset about, that I think Sally is not getting fully, is more the fact that she wasn't going to tell him. Like, she has the secret, and she never intended on telling him until he forced her to. Until he pushed her up against the wall and made her. He cornered her, right? Because he saw this text. And it's bothering him so much that if he never saw her phone, he would still not know about this. And she would still be keeping it from him. And the only reason she told him now is because she had no choice. So Sally realizes that Wyatt is beyond mad and he's not playing around. So she changes her tactic. And she tells him she made a mistake and she's very, very sorry. And she admits the way Thomas is going about all of this is very wrong. And she tries to explain, but right now he's just over it. And he says that he just doesn't trust her anymore. And to my surprise, and I don't know about you guys, but to my surprise, she's like, well, you know what? Maybe your mom's right. Maybe I should just move out. And I'm like, what are you doing? What is she thinking? He didn't say get out. He didn't even say we're breaking up. And I'm like, what are you doing, Sally? So she packs a bag, and before she leaves, she tells him that she's truly sorry and that she really, really loves him. And then he lets her walk out the door. And I just knew that he was going to stop her. I just thought he's going to stop her. But he doesn't. He just lets her walk right out the door. Now we head way across the sea to Paris with Liam and Amelia. And Liam tells Amelia that it's great to be in Paris, but it's hard to leave Hope. And that he's very worried about her. And then they chit-chat for a little bit. And personally, my personal opinion, I don't think Liam should be confiding in Amelia. Because he don't know this, but she's on Thomas's side. Besides that, she's the nanny, an employee. And I don't think Steffi would like him confiding in her. I just don't. So they're chit-chatting and stuff, and then Amelia has the nerve to tell Liam that she thinks he's still in love with Steffi. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Everyone thinks they know Liam's feelings better than he does. It's ridiculous. I think he knows who he's in love with, okay? It's his own heart, right? And his own mind. I just can't believe the nerve of Amelia. I just can't believe it. Back at Wyatt's house, Sally left, and Wyatt picks up his phone and he calls Liam in Paris. And he tells Liam that he just found out Thomas is making a move on Hope, and that he wants her for himself, and that he needs to get back home now. Hope needs him. And Liam says he will be there before Thomas can blink. Now we head back over to Brooke's house with Thomas and Hope. And Hope reminds Thomas again that she's married. And the ring is pretty, but that's all it is a pretty ring. She tells him that she's touched by his confession, but she's convinced that he's confusing his feelings for her with his feelings for what he wants for Douglas. Thomas again starts his crap about how Liam should be with Steffi, etc., etc. And then Thomas tells her one day he will put this ring on her finger. And Hope just gives him a look that says no. Then she rolls her eyes and shakes her head, and she leaves without saying a word. Then Thomas is sitting there, pouting, staring at the ring, and he starts fantasizing about Hope coming back and telling him she changed her mind and she wants to be with him. And she kisses him. But it's just a fantasy. And that's how Tuesday ends. So that brings us into Wednesday. The show opens at Forrester, but we're going to circle back to that in a minute. We are going to head to Wyatt's house with Wyatt and Quinn. Wyatt called Quinn over to tell her about him and Sally. And of course, Quinn is almost jumping up and down for joy. She's so happy. And Wyatt tells her to stop being so happy. Stop. It's not what she thinks. It's about Thomas and Hope, not Thomas and Sally. So Wyatt explains everything that happened. And Quinn is so insensitive. Wow. Poor Wyatt is hurting. And she's basically jumping up and down saying, I'm so happy she's gone. I'm so happy she's gone. It's time to move on with Flo. And she just goes on, and you can tell Wyatt is just really not wanting to hear this right now. I think he wanted some comfort from his mom, not to, celebrate. And she's really upsetting Wyatt. She really is. She's just being very pushy. So she says, look, you know I'm right. You know the truth. You're still in love with Flo. You know you can trust her because she's trustworthy. And I'm like, yeah, right. Now we head over to Forrester Creations in the side office with Thomas and Sally. Sally tells Thomas that they need to talk, and she's mad. And that he might want to rethink his plan. She tells him that she's very angry that he pulled her into this whole thing because it might have cost her the man she loves. So Sally explains what happened and that she told Wyatt and everything that went down. And of course, Thomas is upset because the jig is up. Thomas is panicking because he knows Wyatt is going to tell Liam. And Sally is upset because Thomas doesn't seem to care at all that it basically broke her and Wyatt up. And that she might lose Wyatt. All Thomas can think about, or even care about, is himself. And how Sally has messed up his plan. Because he's a disgusting human being. And someone like that cannot be with someone like Hope. Because he will only hurt her. Now we head across the hall to the executive office. with Hope and Flo. And Hope is showing Flo the ropes and plans to have her work on Hope for the future. They're not quite sure what her role's going to be yet. Maybe a consultant. So Hope tells Flo she's really trying to move on and concentrate on her line. But it's really hard for her. And of course, Flo feels guilty. So she grabs Hope and hugs her. And Hope tells her that there's a part of her that's happy Liam is coming home. And there's a part of her that feels guilty for making him leave his girls. And that maybe Liam should be with Steffi instead of her. And I'm like, dang it. Thomas got in her head. And she's vulnerable. So that's not hard to do right now. Normally, Hope is very smart. And she figures out when people are conning her. But not this time. Because who on earth would think someone would use your grief against you? No one would think that. So Flo tries to talk some sense into Hope. And she tells her that Liam loves her. And that Liam should have a say in all of this. And then Hope makes a comment that she considers Liam to be Phoebe's father. And Flo is feeling guilty and she blurts out that Liam is Phoebe's father before she can stop herself. And Hope just looks at her and Hope says, well, then you do understand. So she tells Flo what happened with Thomas and how some of what he said was true. And thank goodness Flo stands up for Liam. And she tries to tell Hope that leaving Liam and breaking up her marriage is a horrible idea. That her and Liam need to heal together, not with other people. And that it would be a big disservice to Beth for them to break up and lose their marriage over this. And she will not allow it. And that's how Wednesday ends. So that brings us into Thursday. The show opens at Wyatt's house with Wyatt and Liam. And Liam wants to know what he's walking into. What is he to expect when he confronts Thomas? And Wyatt tells Liam that he thought Sally and Thomas were fooling around. But then he found out that Thomas is actually going after Hope. And he explains everything that Sally told him. And Liam is pissed. And he says that he will not let Thomas take Hope away from him. And then Liam notices that something's wrong with Wyatt. And he wants to know what's wrong. What's up? So Wyatt tells him about everything that happened with Sally. The whole thing. And Liam is surprised for sure. Who isn't? Like, I was shocked that she moved out. So Liam explains that Thomas has done this before, a long time ago, and this is what he does. He goes after people and he ruins people's lives. And then Liam gets all fired up, and he says, you know what? He's not breaking up my marriage on the guise of wanting a mother for his son. And he storms out on his way to Forrester, I assume. Now we head over to Forrester, and we're in the side office with Thomas and Sally. And Sally tells Thomas that she moved out, and that she's extremely upset, and this basically is his fault. And he does apologize, finally, for getting her into this mess. Thanks a lot. But he says that he will not give up, no matter what. I wish for once the good side would win. I wish Liam and Wyatt would expose Thomas to Hope so that she can see what kind of person he really is. I wish that would happen so much. Now we head across the hall to the executive office with Hope and Flo. And Flo tells Hope that it doesn't sound like Thomas is a real friend to her. Because why would he wait until Liam's out of town and then go after her? And Hope admits that she doesn't love Thomas. It's always been Liam. And guess what? Through a crack in the door, Zoe is eavesdropping. She's listening to their conversation. Of course she is. And Hope is trying to rationalize this whole Thomas thing. She doesn't realize that he's a horrible human being. And Flo is really on Liam's side, which I love. And she tells Hope, look, you've lost enough. You don't need to lose your marriage too. That's crazy. And in this moment, I love Flo. Because someone needs to talk some sense into Hope. Then Flo walks out of the office because Hope has some work to do, and she goes into the side office. And guess who follows her in? Zoe. Zoe is telling Flo off, basically. She's saying that she should have encouraged Hope to get with Thomas. And she's being rude as usual and pushy. And she wants Flo to tell Hope to leave Liam so she can have a kid. So she can have Douglas. Excuse me? I did not think that I could dislike Zoe anymore, but apparently I can. I'm like, oh, no. No. Because Zoe is going to get into Flo's head now. And I don't like this one bit. Not one bit. What the F? So then Zoe gives her another speech about how she should be enjoying her new job and how she should embrace it, etc., etc. And then after she basically tells Flo off, she just turns around and leaves. And I'm like, so rude. Then Flo's phone rings and it's Wyatt. And he wants her to stop by his house. And she says, sure, I haven't taken a lunch break, so I'll be there soon. So Flo leaves work and she goes straight to Wyatt's. And Wyatt answers the door and she can tell something's very wrong. Wyatt tells Flo everything. Everything that happened between him and Sally, what Sally and Thomas were keeping secret, how Sally was somewhat involved, and how Wyatt is very, 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 very hurt. And in this moment, he reminded me of Bill. Because he says it's about loyalty. Like, it's the point. She should have been loyal to me over Thomas. He feels her loyalty should have first been to him and not to Thomas at all, basically. And he tells Flo that he absolutely hates lies and secrecy. Now we head back to Forrester Creations in the executive office with Hope and Thomas. Hope tells Thomas to leave his designs and she will look at them when she gets a chance. And of course, he doesn't take the hint. And she's like, I have a lot of work to do. I don't have time right now. So, of course, he gets a chair, he sits down and says, oh, I can wait. Hello, take a hint. She doesn't want you there. Stalker. So, of course, Hope looks at his sketches, and she likes them. She says they're good. And then, because she desperately wants him away from her, she asked him to run an errand for her. But, of course, before he goes, he asked her to have dinner with him and Douglas. And he's about to make her feel guilty. And before she can answer, Liam walks in. And Hope is so happy, she's gushing. She jumps up, and they hug and kiss. And Thomas is mad. You can tell, but he's trying to hide it. And Liam is being extra charming. He's giving out gifts for Hope and Douglas, and he's so happy, and Hope is happy, and then the conversation takes a turn, and Thomas basically says, I know why you came back, because Wyatt told you that I was in love with Hope, right? And Thomas starts running his mouth to Liam. And I am like, he has some nerve, because he actually says that Hope and Liam are not a family. Are you serious right now? You don't have to have kids to be a family, okay? Me and my husband don't have any kids, and we are a family, okay? Ridiculous. Then he goes on to tell Liam that he should be with Steffi. And he goes on and on, etc., etc. Now this really pisses Liam off. He points at him and says, that's not for you to judge. And all your guilt trips and schemes end now. And that's how Thursday ends. So that brings us into Friday, May the 10th. The show opens at Forrester Creations, but we're going to circle back to that. We are going to start out at Wyatt's with Wyatt and Flo. Wyatt is going on and on about how Flo is the most honest person he knows, etc. So obviously, Flo is feeling really guilty right now. And she tells Wyatt that they can't let it happen. They can't let Thomas break Hope and Liam up. It would be too tragic. And Wyatt is touched that Flo really cares about him and his family. He loves that he can be honest with her and that he can trust her. And then he kisses her. And I'm like, oh no, Sally, you effed up big time. Then Wyatt tells Flo that he feels like it's fate that brought them back together. And that they're supposed to be in each other's lives. And then he kisses her again. Flo admits to Wyatt that she's scared. Because he literally just broke up with Sally like 2 minutes ago. And she doesn't want to open her heart up and get heartbroken again. But Wyatt assures her that he is done with Sally. Because he can't get over her lie. And then things start to get hot and heavy. They start making out big time. Now we head over to Forrester Creations in the side office with Sally and Quinn. And Quinn tells Sally that the most important thing to Wyatt is transparency and trust. And if she can't give him that, there's another lady in town who can. And Quinn wants what's best for Wyatt, period. Sally knows exactly who Quinn is talking about. And I'm like, poor Sally, because she's obviously so brokenhearted. So finally, Sally's had enough of Quinn's BS. And she says, look, I'm not giving up. I still love Wyatt. And I know that we can work it out and get through this. And Quinn just kind of like, okay, whatever. Now we head across the hall to the executive office with Hope, Liam, and Wyatt. Liam sees right through Thomas. He basically says, if you think you're going to use your son to break up my marriage, you're delusional. And I'm like, yes. Then Thomas says that he loves Hope. And Liam is like, stop, stop, stop. Just stop. You are saying this like it's normal and casual, like you're talking about coffee. It's not. You're losing your perspective. Hope is my wife, mine. So back off. And then Thomas tells Liam he knows he should be with Steffi. And he tries to explain, like, his plan. Like, he tries to explain how his future makes more sense. It makes more sense for Liam to be with Steffi. I have to tell you guys this. My husband was watching. He was reading, but he was watching with me. And my husband said, so this is from a male perspective. My husband said, I don't know why Liam is still talking to him right now. I don't know why he hasn't knocked his ass out yet. And I'm like, I agree. So Liam is being too nice, for sure. And he says, look, I understand you're looking out for your son, but you will not use that to get what you want. Hope for yourself. And then Thomas pulls out of his pocket a drawing that supposedly Douglas drew of him and Hope holding hands. And he called Hope mommy. And I'm like, really? Really? You just walk around with drawings in your pockets of your pants. Like, that's just a normal thing. Just walk around with that in your pants pocket. I don't think so, buddy. I don't even believe Douglas actually drew the photo at all. I think Thomas panicked and drew it real fast so he could use it because he knew this conversation was coming. So at this point, Liam is mad and frustrated. And he's like, look, Hope can be in Douglas's life. I have no problem with that. I'll completely support that relationship. But that does not mean that Hope has to be with you. That does not mean that at all. And Liam's just like, are you buying this, Hope? Like, are you really buying his BS? So Thomas then starts with, Liam, we need to put the kids first, and you need to let Hope move on with her life. And now Liam is just so upset that he turns to Hope and he puts his hands on her arms and he pulls her to him and he asks her point blank, is Thomas right? Is that what you want? Because all I want is for you to believe in us as a couple. Because we could have the most wonderful life together. Please. And he's like got tears in his eyes. It was so sad. I was like, I had the one Brooke tear rolling down my face. Like, it was so sad. And Liam says, please don't say this is the end. And that's how Friday ends, on a cliffhanger. My favorite way to end the soap week, of course. It's that time, guys. Let's analyze this and break it down. Let's talk about Quinn. I feel sorry for Wyatt because I truly believe he called his mother over to console him, to have a shoulder to cry on, and it completely backfired. Instead of listening to him and being there for him, she just basically pushed Flo on him and said, like, you need to move on. Like, get over it. And I felt really bad for him because that's not what he wanted to hear at that time. So Quinn can be very, very harsh. And that's not what Wyatt needed at that moment. Now, let's talk about Ridge. I am very happy that Ridge finally told Brooke the truth. So I'm hoping next week Brooke will talk some sense into Hope and help her out of this crazy situation. Now let's talk about Wyatt and Sally. I am very shocked. Very shocked because I knew that this would probably cause some issues, but I had no idea that they would break up so easily or that she would just move out. And I don't know what she's thinking. It was a very dumb move. And I'm just like, wow, she's almost self-sabotaging because Wyatt didn't even tell her to get out. So he probably would have worked on it and tried to fix it. But her just leaving, that was like the nail in the coffin for him. After that, he was just done. He was done. So I do feel sorry for Sally because I feel Wyatt is being somewhat hypocritical because he has his own secrets. There's been about 3 kisses now. Or at that time, there had been about 3 kisses that he neglected to tell Sally about. with Flo. So it's not like Wyatt is completely innocent. But saying that, I do feel he had every right to be angry. Because if you are with me and we're together, if you find out someone is trying to sabotage my brother, you better tell me. Because if you don't, we're going to have a problem. So I feel like Wyatt does have a right to be angry. I just am totally in shock that it broke them up so quickly. Another thing that surprised me is how quickly Wyatt moved on. He immediately called over Flo like the next day and basically was making out with her and saying he wants to be with her and it's fate and all of this stuff. And I was just like, wow, okay. Wow. Sally's going to be devastated. I do want to say that Liam and Wyatt both definitely reminded me this week that they are Bill's sons. Liam is normally nothing like Bill, but when Liam walked into that office, he put on the charm. Like, he was so charming that Hope couldn't help but gush. And I thought in my head, okay, this is definitely Bill's son. And then Wyatt reminded me of the same thing whenever he was going on and on about loyalty. And about how once you break his trust and then your loyalty comes into question, it's a problem that he doesn't know if he could even get over. And I thought, wow, that sounds exactly like something Bill would say. So I thought that was very interesting, especially Liam, because Liam is seldom like Bill. I was waiting for him to just punch Thomas in the face, because that would have been amazing. All that I'm going to say about Zoe is that she's rude. She needs to mind her own business, and she needs to leave Flo the hell alone. Like, just leave the poor girl alone. She said she's not going to say anything. Leave her alone. Zoe is just too much. Too much. And another person that annoyed the hell out of me this week was Amelia. Please mind your own business. Okay? She is so worried about doing all this for Thomas so that she could get a date with him that it's just ridiculous. Okay? If she knew why Thomas was doing all this, it would make a big difference. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Hope. Liam, Thomas. I was so excited when Liam walked into that office. It was awesome because Liam sees through Thomas, which I think is amazing. I just love that because Liam sees through all of it. He knows exactly what Thomas is doing. He is messing with Hope's head, and he is using her own grief and guilt to weasel his way into her life. He's using anything he can think of. Douglas, Liam's girls, whatever he can think of. He even used dead Caroline. Are you kidding me? This guy is, I don't even know the word to use. He's despicable. And I am so hoping that Sally exposes him. I hope that Sally tells Hope everything, or I hope that they somehow figure out his scheme, and I want him to get his ass kicked because he deserves that. And I'm going to tell you right now, I will be beyond mad. I will be livid if Hope does not choose Liam, because that makes zero sense. Hope told Flo that it's Liam, and it's always been Liam. And that's why I've always wanted them together. Because Hope has always loved Liam, ever since she was very young. And I just wish for once good would win out over bad. And that this will, in the long run, make Hope and Liam stronger instead of breaking them apart. Because even if she gets with Thomas, it will never work. Because he is a horrible person. And there's no way that Hope will put up with that. So fingers crossed that Hope picks Liam and not Thomas. Because if she does, I'm going to be going, I'm just going to go nuts. I'm going to tell y'all that right now. And that is all I have for this week. So that brings us to the end of the episode. I hope you guys have a great week. Please get in touch. I want to know what you guys think. I want to know your comments, your predictions. Do you guys think Hope is going to do the right thing? Or do you think she's going to break Liam's heart? I'd love to know what you guys think. You can get in touch with me at theboldandbeautifulpodcast.com. I'm also on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I'll put the links in the show notes. Thank you guys so much for listening. I'll be back in your ears next week. Until then, bye guys.